some of the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns because the speedrunners are absolutely terrible at hiding the fact that they're literally cheating. This speedrun starts in a plains biome. The speedrunner then turns around where they find a village. Now, first of all, this could just be a very lucky spawn. Well, the speedrunner heads into the village and they find a blacksmith. So the speedrunner enters the blacksmith and loots the chest. And inside the chest is technically legit loot because they found full iron armor, and that is extremely lucky, but we have no proof that they cheated that into the game. Well, the speedrunner takes most of the loot from the chest, but wait a minute, if we look inside their inventory, we can see all the items that they just got from the chest. But they also have 2 netherite. But if we look back inside the chest, there was not 2 netherite inside of it. So where did they get 2 netherite from? Well, if we rewind the footage to exactly here, we can see that they actually picked up netherite right before they opened the chest, which in case you didn't know is actually not legit. But the speedrunner puts on all of their iron armor and leaves the blacksmith. They begin walking down a path, but wait. Just pausing the video here, we can see 2 things extremely wrong. Firstly, being the crafting table, because random crafting tables don't just spawn like this, but there's also a floating pig. Like what? I'm pretty sure pigs don't fly. I think. Well, the speedrunner enters the crafting table and makes himself a shield. They begin walking down the path some more and they completely ignore the pig. Well, I guess the speedrunner just didn't see the floating pig, right? Maybe, I don't know. The speedrunner goes up to another house, but wait, this staircase looks a little bit weird. Well, the speedrunner ignores the staircase and enters the house where they find 3 beds, which is definitely not suspicious at all. But there's also a diamond sword, because of course there is. The speedrunner takes the diamond sword and breaks all 3 beds. They leave the house and steal 2 hay bales. They wander around the village for quite some time until they enter another villager's house and find a chest which has a rabbit foot. Yeah, I don't know what else you want me to say about this. It's just a rabbit foot. They take the rabbit foot and exit the house. But wait, did you see that? As soon as they went to exit the house, we can see a floating sheep. I didn't even know sheep could fly. And you know, I'm starting to think that this world might actually just be cursed, because what happens later is absolutely crazy. Well, the speedrunner takes some carrots from a farm and they randomly go inside of the forest. And that's when they find a ruin portal that's already lit. But wait, do you notice anything weird about this ruin portal? Because I do. First of all, there's no chest, and every ruin portal always has a chest. Not only that, but there's also several pieces of nether golden ore, which ruin portals definitely do not spawn that. So I'm thinking that this speedrunner just made this ruin portal themselves, and they did a terrible job. Well, the speedrunner enters the nether portal, and they get a pretty lucky nether spawn because they're literally in the fortress. But something is very, very weird about this fortress, because we can see a nether quartz path on the ground, which is obviously fake. Of course, the speedrunner follows the path, which brings them right to some blazes. The speedrunner starts absolutely destroying the blazes, and at one point they look around for 2 seconds where we can see a floating chicken. Yes, a floating chicken in the nether. That makes sense. But of course the speedrunner ignores the floating chicken and kills some more blazes. They get 1 blaze rod and start heading back towards the portal, but if you've ever played Minecraft before, you know that you're definitely gonna need more than just 1 blaze rod. Well, they go in the portal, and once they're back in the overworld, they start heading back towards the village. But whoa. How does the speedrunner have 9 blaze rods? Because we literally just saw them only have 1. So this part of the speedrun is definitely not legit. Well, once the speedrunner is back in the village, we can see some mushrooms on this wood, which further proves my point that this world is definitely cursed. And not only that, we find this weird dead bush thingy on the ground. The speedrunner then breaks the bush and digs directly beneath it, and the speedrunner starts falling down super duper fast. They might die, but they land in some water. Not only that, they're also in the trial chambers area, which is extremely rare. They look around for a little bit in absolute disbelief. But did you see that? If we rewind the footage and pause it here, we can see what appears to be a villager. But I'm pretty sure villagers aren't in the trials chamber area, because villagers can only spawn in end cities. So a villager being right here literally makes no sense. Well, the speedrunner goes up the staircase where they find an end portal. But something is very, very off about this end portal. They're missing 3 end frames. And without those 3 end frames, they literally cannot go to the end. But don't you worry, because they found a barrel that has the 3 end frames that they need and a stack of ender pearls, which is pretty darn fake. The speedrunner turns their blaze rods into blaze powder and makes himself 12 eyes of ender. They place in all the eyes of ender and enter the end. Once you're in the end, they build towards the middle island and they start running towards the dragon. But once again, we can see a floating animal, but this time it's a cow. But not only that, we also see that there's no ender dragon, but instead there's a very weird looking portal in the middle. So the speedrunner just jumps into the portal and beats the speedrun. This speedrunner starts in a plains biome. They find an iron golem, even though I'm pretty sure iron golems only spawn inside of villages, spot in the middle of a forest. So the speedrunner somehow one-hits the iron golem, and at first I was pretty confused, but then I realized that the speedrunner was Mr. Krabs, so it makes sense. Well, Mr. Krabs uses the iron he got to make himself a bucket, and he throws the bucket at a lava pool, which makes a nether portal. Even though I'm not sure that's how that works, but okay. He enters the nether and finds a fortress chest, which somehow has diamonds, even though diamonds cannot spawn inside of a nether fortress chest. Oh my god, wait, this is the wrong footage. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to reach 100,000 subscribers, and I'm not even halfway there, so if you could subscribe, that would genuinely mean the world to me. This speedrun starts in a desert. The speedrunner turns around and finds a desert pyramid, which right off the bat is a lucky spawn, but not only that, they're also next to a village, which makes this spawn even luckier. Well, the speedrunner enters the pyramid and starts digging down when they suddenly land on the pressure plate, but for some reason, nothing happens. Well, the speedrunner loots every single chest, and they actually find surprisingly some normal loot. Just some golden apples, some sand blocks, and emeralds. Nothing out of the ordinary. But they use the sand blocks to get out of the pyramid, and they make their way towards the village. Once there, they enter a house and find some leather armor, which once again is normal loot. But everything changes whenever they enter this house, which has a chest that normally is not in this house. Not only that, the chest has diamonds, iron, sticks, and an iron chest plate, which I'm not gonna lie is definitely fake. They take all the loot and put on the iron chest plate. They then make a crafting table, turn their iron nuggets into an iron ingot, and make themselves an iron pickaxe. They also make themselves a diamond sword. They break their crafting table and start exploring around the village. But wait, did you see that? This house right here has some obsidian sticking out of it, which is obviously not normal. The speedrunner makes her way towards that house, and turns out it's actually a nether portal. The only problem is that it's not lit, and the speedrunner doesn't have a flint and steel. So look around the house a little bit until they find a flint and steel. Wow, I definitely did not see that coming. They take the flint and steel and light the nether portal. Once they're in the nether, they realize that they got a pretty unlucky spawn. So the speedrunner makes her way towards a wall and just mines her way into it and looks at the wall and then turns around and mines the blocks that they just broke, but now they're in the fortress, which logically speaking makes no sense. Well, they also found a chest, and inside the chest is tons of eyes of ender. What the heck? You don't even need that many eyes of ender. Well, either way, the speedrunner takes all of the eyes of ender and looks to the right and finds a nether portal. So obviously they go through the nether portal and they spawn in the middle of nowhere. Or at least that's what I thought until they found a random portal on the ground. Even though I'm pretty sure these portals spawn way deeper in the ground than this. Well, the speedrunner places in all of their eyes of ender and enters the end. Once you're in the end, they find a very weird staircase. But that is the least of my concerns right now, because if you look at the top of the screen, we can see an ender dragon's health and a wither's health. I didn't think withers spawned in the end, but I don't know, it could have been in the newest update. The speedrunner tries to kill the wither and just keeps on trying to smack it. And the wither does not like this at all, so the wither starts killing the speedrunner, and the speedrunner gets extremely low. So they eat their last golden apple, but it's not enough to save them, because not only do they have the wither killing them, they also have an enderman and the ender dragon. And the speedrunner just ends up dying to the ender dragon, which I'm not gonna lie is pretty embarrassing. This speedrun starts pretty normal as they're in a plains biome, and the first thing they do is just start walking around until they find this lava pool. The lava pools only spawn if there is stone around them, and this lava pool very clearly has no stone, which makes me think that the speedrunner probably put this lava pool here themselves. Well, the speedrunner ignores the lava pool, and that's where we can see a polar bear? I'm gonna be honest, I thought polar bears only spawn inside of savanna biomes. So the fact that I see a polar bear inside of a plains biome is genuinely confusing. Well, the speedrunner completely ignores the polar bear and decides to run to this tree to get some wood. Wait, is that a shulker? I've actually never seen a shulker be inside of a tree before, but maybe their game just glitched or something. Well, the shulker hits them and makes them fly, but it's okay because they land inside of a pool of water. They get a piece of wood and even start beating up the shulker. They eventually just leave the shulker alone as they are extremely low. So they head back towards the lava pool and find a nether portal. If you go rewind the video right now to where there was a lava pool, let me know if there was a nether portal here, because I don't think there was. Well, even though there is a magical lava pool here, the speedrunner still has no flint and steel, so they can't light the nether portal. Wait, what? Well, they go into the portal, and now that they're in the nether, they find a bunch of hoglins that try to beat them up. So the speedrunner tries to just run away until out of nowhere, they randomly start gaining hunger bars and health, which I didn't even know was possible. And not only that, the hoglins for some reason don't want to attack the speedrunner anymore. Well, the speedrunner finds a chest and a sign, and the sign says legit chest. If this chest has items that are not legit, I feel like everyone should probably subscribe. Well, the speedrunner opens the chest and finds tons of eyes of ender. Well, I guess that means that everyone has to subscribe. The speedrunner takes the eyes of ender and makes her way back back towards the nether portal. Now that they're back in the overworld, they for some reason don't throw the Eye of Ender and instead start going towards the polar bear. They then for some reason punch the polar bear and somehow fall through the water and find an end portal? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is not a stronghold. But the speedrunner just jumps into the end portal, and once they're in the end, they find some diamond parkour. So the speedrunner starts doing the parkour and is actually pretty good at parkour. Oh, they fell. Oh wait, never mind, they made it. Oh wait, never mind, they fell again. Oh, never mind, they made it. I'm not gonna lie, I am very confused what is happening right now. Well, they make the rest of the parkour legitly, and that's when they realize that for some odd reason, there is just simply no ender dragon. But I do see a sign that says, Ender Dragon is sick today? So because the Ender Dragon is sick, the speedrunner just goes up to the end portal and beats the speedrun. This speedrun starts inside of a village. The speedrunner then crafts himself an iron sword and even builds himself a house. Oh wait, this is the wrong footage. Oh my god, I am so sorry. This speedrun starts right next to a village, but the only problem is that they're 80 blocks in the sky. But lucky for the speedrunner, they're right next to a lake, which they should easily be able to land inside of. Oh, they completely missed. Well, the speedrunner goes into the village and for some odd reason finds tons of cows inside of this patch. So the speedrunner goes inside of it and smacks a few cows until they suddenly get a stack of beef, which literally makes no sense because they didn't even kill a cow. They then begin eating the meat even though they're full hunger bars. And when I say they're eating the meat, I mean they are eating it because they just keep on eating it even though they are still full hunger. Well, eventually they do stop eating the meat and begin breaking some wood on this house. They turn the logs into planks and make themselves a crafting table and some sticks. They place in the crafting table and try to make themselves a wooden pickaxe, but they are missing one piece of wood. So they go to mine some more wood, but the iron golem is looking at them kinda weird, so they smack it. And then they break the wood and make themselves a wooden pickaxe. Now that they have a wooden pickaxe, they start absolutely destroying this house for some reason until they have 14 cobblestone. They then begin randomly placing down their cobblestone. And can someone tell me why this cobblestone looks like a nether portal? Well, the speedrunner goes inside their cobblestone nether portal. Wait, what? How are they in the nether? Well, I am genuinely confused, but there could just be an update that I might have missed. Well, the speedrunner finds some lava, and inside the lava is some blaze powder. So, of course, the speedrunner takes all the blaze powder and goes back through their cobblestone nether portal. Now that they're back in the overworld, they go up to the wishing well and throw their torch and make a wish to get tons of ender pearls. And their wish somehow actually comes true because inside of the wishing well are some ender pearls. So they take the ender pearls and use their blaze powder and the ender pearls to make themselves some eyes of ender. They then find some carpet on the ground and another piece of carpet and another one, and they just keep on following the trail until eventually they find an end portal just out in the open like this. Even though I'm pretty sure end portals don't just randomly spawn here. Well, the speedrunner just jumps down to the end portal and fills in all of the eyes of ender. Once they're in the end, they just dig their way out, and for some reason the ender dragon is extremely low. The ender dragon shoots them with their ball, but for some reason it just does not damage the speedrunner. So because of that, the speedrunner can easily kill the ender dragon, and then they just win the speedrun. This speedrunner starts right next to a village. So they immediately go to the village and enter the closest house. And in the house is a block I've actually never seen before. But the speedrunner ignores this very strange block and leaves the house. They then find a horse with a saddle already attached to it, which only has a 2% chance of spawning. So the speedrunner rides the horse and begins running off into the distance, until eventually they can see a ruined portal out in the distance. But wait, is that ruined portal already lit? The chances of there being an already lit nether portal are literally impossible. But once the speedrunner is at the nether portal, they exit the horse and loot the chest, which has some normal loot. They then enter the portal, and once inside the nether, the speedrunner finds a creeper head and a sign. And the sign says, "Twerk on creeper for special gift." What the heck? Surely the speedrunner isn't gonna— Wait, oh my god, what are you doing? Wait, how do they have eyes of ender all of a sudden? I am literally so confused what just happened. But the speedrunner takes her special gift and leaves the nether. But once they're in the overworld, they look around and their horse is literally nowhere to be seen. So the speedrunner ends up running all the way back to the village. But that's when the speedrunner types inside chat, BRB? Why is the speedrunner going AFK inside of a speedrun? Might be some new pro tactic, you never know. Well, eventually the speedrunner comes back and they go deeper inside the village until they end up finding a sign with a hole behind it. And the sign says, "Not stronghold." Honestly, I think this sign is telling the truth. But the speedrunner drops down the hole and dies. Oh wait, never mind. I meant to say they easily make it down the hole, which led them to the stronghold. Well, I guess that sign was lying. Not only is the end portal already lit, there's also a chest and a bed. And inside the chest is insanely overpowered loot. So the speedrunner takes some of the loot, sets their spawn point, and enters the end. Once in the end, they have to make a very difficult jump. So the speedrunner tries to make the jump and fails. Oh wait, never mind, they easily made it. Oh, I could have sworn they fell there. Maybe it's just a glitch or something. Well, now that the speedrunner easily made the jump, they can now kill the ender dragon. Wait, why is the ender dragon on 1 HP? Well, all the speedrunner has to do is hit the dragon one time, but I think they shoot over a stack of arrows but consistently keep on missing. Honestly, I don't think there's a single person who has worse aim than this speedrunner. Eventually, they hit one shot and it kills the ender dragon. And that's how the speedrunner finishes his speedrun. This speedrun starts right next to a village, as we can see a villager's house right next to them. So the first thing the speedrunner does is go into the village and start stealing all of the crops from the villagers. Now that the speedrunner has a decent amount of food, they then head over to the blacksmith. They open the door and inside the chest is some normal loot, like a piece of iron, 3 emeralds, a saddle, and a revolver. Last time I checked, there weren't guns inside of Minecraft, but I could have just missed an update. Well, the speedrunner takes this very legit loot out of the chest and leaves the blacksmith. They begin showing off their very cool looking revolver, which honestly looks pretty big. The speedrunner then runs around a little bit until they suddenly pick up a stone pickaxe. But stone pickaxes don't just randomly spawn on the ground like that. So I feel like the speedrunner just went inside a creative and placed on the pickaxe before the speedrun even started. The speedrunner then finds a patch of gravel and they begin mining it. But the speedrunner just doesn't have dream luck, so they get no gravel. So they have to place down more gravel and then break it until they eventually get a flint. They then use that flint and the iron that they got from the blacksmith to make themselves a flint and steel. Now that the speedrunner has a flint and steel, they go down the mountain some more until they find this weirdly looking square, which actually kinda looks like a door. The speedrunner breaks directly in the middle, and that's when they find a nether portal, which for some reason is already lit, which means that the speedrunner didn't even need to make themselves a flint and steel in the first place. Well, the speedrunner goes into the portal. Now that the speedrunner is in the nether, they look around for a little bit until they find a fortress, which means that the speedrunner got a pretty lucky nether spawn. The speedrunner then tries building up, but a piglin tries to stop them. But the speedrunner is too good at PvP and kills the piglin, which drops a golden sword. The speedrunner finds this weirdly dug out hole, so they drop down into it, which leads them right to the fortress. Not only that, but there's also a chest in the fortress. The speedrunner opens the chest and finds a shield, an iron sword, an iron chestplate, and iron leggings, which are all things that typically do not spawn inside of fortresses. Well, either way, the speedrunner takes all of that loot and begins to explore deeper inside of the fortress. Eventually, the speedrunner finds a blaze, so they just kill the blaze, but there is also a spawner here. But blaze spawners don't just randomly spawn inside of fortresses, so I think that the speedrunner just placed down this spawner here. Well, either way, the speedrunner kills the blazes, but then a random cut happens, and the speedrunner suddenly loses an entire level, and all of their items are mixed around, which leads me to believe that the speedrunner died, but just simply cut it out to make it look like they actually didn't die. The speedrunner tries to kill some more blazes, but they are running low on food very fast, so they begin making their way back towards the portal, and that's when they just simply leave the nether. Now that the speedrunner is back in the overworld, they go around the village a lot trying to look for some food, and that's when they find some pigs inside of a pen, so they just start killing them and eating their food. But wait, I just realized that the speedrunner somehow has 11 blaze rods. But if we look at the footage from before, the speedrunner definitely did not have 11 blaze rods, which means at some point during the speedrun, they must have given themselves some blaze rods when no one was looking. But this is also when the speedrunner opens up their inventory and we can see that they have tons of ender pearls. But not once inside of the speedrun did we ever see them gain any ender pearls. So I'm honestly very confused. The speedrunner then turns their blaze rods into blaze powder and makes themselves some eyes of ender. But instead of throwing the eyes of ender like a normal speedrunner would inside the situation, they instead start traversing down a mountain. They then grab some hay. They also look directly into the eyes of this Enderman, but for some reason the Enderman just didn't attack them. The speedrunner then finds a giant cave, so they jump down into some water. They then 1v1 this creeper until it blows up, and the speedrunner finds an end portal. I could have sworn the end portals usually spawn inside of strongholds, not just inside of random caves. Well, the speedrunner places in their eyes of ender and enters the end. Once they're in the end, they're faced with a severe problem. Their platform is way too high up, and the speedrunner is only on 5 hearts. And I honestly don't think there's any way for them to jump down onto the island without dying. So if they die, I think everyone should should probably subscribe. Well, the speedrunner has no option but to just simply jump, and that's exactly what they do, but they just die. So I guess that means that everyone has to subscribe. The speedrunner starts by immediately building themselves a nether portal. Once in the nether, they're right above a fortress. And for some reason in the fortress is an Enderman. The speedrunner kills the Enderman, but then suddenly there are two blazers trying to kill the speedrunner. Wait, what? Mario, where did you come from? Okay then. The speedrunner uses their ender pearl, and Mario uses the blaze rods, and they throw them in the air to create an eye of ender. Once the speedrunner gets to the stronghold, they place in the eyes of ender and enter the end. They also instantly kill the ender dragon by throwing a sword at its face. And that's how the speedrunner wins the speedrun. Oh wait, this is the wrong footage. Oh my god, I am so sorry. I am super duper close to 30,000 subscribers, so if you could subscribe, that would honestly make my entire day. This speedrun starts pretty normal with the speedrunner immediately mining a tree. They mine 4 logs when they suddenly dig straight down and find a chest. But listen to the reason why the speedrunner dug down in the first place.
Alright, I think that's enough wood. I'm gonna go mine for some stone now. Oh wait, a chest? I was not expecting a chest to be here.
Yeah, apparently they were trying to mine some stone, but accidentally found the chest. I don't know if I believe them because I don't think random chests spawn here in the first place. But the speedrunner opens the chest and finds an iron pickaxe. So they take the iron pickaxe and build out of the hole. That's when the speedrunner realizes that they spawned right next to a village.
Oh, and I'm right next to a freaking village. This is the most luckiest spawn ever.
So the speedrunner heads towards the village and they enter the first house, which has a barrel. But for some reason, the barrel has nothing inside of it. And the speedrunner says this.
Ooh, a barrel? Oh, let's see if this barrel has anything inside of it. Oh, nothing? Oh, okay, wait a minute.
They exit the barrel, then reopen it, and there's suddenly full diamond armor inside of the barrel. Which I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how the heck they did that. And this is the speedrunner's excuse for there being full diamond armor inside of that barrel.
I think the full diamond armor was just glitched, so that's why it wasn't in there.
Yeah, I'm sure it was just a glitch. Speedrunner then goes inside of some houses and steals some beds, which is actually a pro speedrunner strategy. The speedrunner finds some hay bales and starts mining them, which I honestly thought they were gonna use for food, but the speedrunner says this instead.
We're also gonna need some hay bales for the hay bale clutching.
Apparently he's gonna use the hay bales for hay bale clutching, so I think the speedrunner doesn't even realize that you can use hay bales for food as well. Well, right after this, we can see a wandering trader inside of this village. Now, at first, this might not seem like a big deal, until you realize that wandering traders only spawn after 14 days of the world being up, which is like 2 hours in real time. So the speedrunner just started the world, there should be no reason that there's a wandering trader here. The speedrunner then finds a ruin portal, and if you've ever seen a ruin portal before, you know that this is not a real ruin portal. Because not only is the ruin portal already finished, there's also no lava or magma blocks. But the speedrunner opens a chest and finds a flint and steel. So they light the nether portal and enter the nether. Once in the nether, they look around and find a hole filled with striders, which has gotta be the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen. But then the speedrunner suddenly says this.
Them silly striders. Well, I'm gonna need some gold to trade with the strider.
Yeah, apparently they're gonna need some gold to trade with striders. Even though I thought the only way that you can trade with striders is if you give them a dragon egg. But maybe they added this in the newest update. The speedrunner then says they're just gonna simply mine some netherrack, and then this happens.
Well, I'm just gonna mine for some netherrack so I can try to find gold. Oh, gold? Oh my god, right behind the netherrack? That's so lucky, and there's so much gold.
Yeah, apparently there's just random gold blocks behind this netherrack, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe that for a single second. Well, there was a lot of gold blocks, so the speedrunner now has like over 100 gold ingots, and they drop an entire stack on the striders. The speedrunner then says they're gonna leave.
Alright, I'll be right back. You guys better have the goodest trades ever, but when I get back.
And when they come back, something strange happens.
Alright guys, I'm back. Let's see if you guys have any good trades for me. Oh my goodness, 27 eyes of ender? You guys are so nice, thank you.
The striders gave them 27 eyes of ender, which I didn't even know was possible. But the speedrunner goes back to the portal and leaves the nether. Once they're back in the overworld, they throw their eye of ender to try to find where their stronghold is. They then find this normal looking tree and say this.
Oh wait a minute, that is a cool looking tree over there. I'm gonna check if there is a stronghold beneath the tree, because I feel like it.
Oh, I swear to God, if there is a stronghold beneath this tree, I'm actually going to flip. Well, they dig straight down next to the tree and find an end portal.
Oh my god, there is! That is so lucky!
Oh yeah, I'm sure that is so lucky. Wow. Well, they just place in the eyes of Ender and enter the end. But once you're in the end, for some reason, there are tons of Ender dragons.
Oh no!
The speedrunner then tries critting out the Ender dragons, but they're doing no damage, so they placed on the bed that they got from the village and just blow themselves up, and their reaction is priceless.
Take this bed! Hiya! Oh.
And I'm pretty sure they just give up on the speedrun because it just ends here. The speedrun starts right next to a village. They immediately head into the village and just run in a straight line until they suddenly pick up an iron axe. But if we put the footage in slow-mo, we can see that the iron axe literally fell from the sky, which in case you couldn't tell is obviously not legit. The speedrunner then uses this iron axe to go inside of several of the villagers' houses and steal all of their beds, which is actually a good speedrunner strategy as they can use those beds to kill the Ender Dragon. Once they have 4 beds, they enter another house which has a chest, and inside of it is the most random loot I think I have ever seen. Like, what the heck is he gonna do with literally any of this? Well, the speedrunner takes all of this loot and then leaves the house. The speedrunner goes in third person, and that's when they spot a cave. They enter the cave, which has a spawner with tons of chickens. Don't get me wrong, spawner rooms are a thing inside of Minecraft, they just never have chickens inside of them. Well, the speedrunner starts going on a chicken killing rampage, and that's when they realize that there's actually ender chests instead of normal chests. So speedrunner opens it and finds full netherite armor, which is obviously completely fake. Well, fake or not, the speedrunner takes all of the armor and the sword and kills more chickens. The speedrunner tries to leave the spawner room, but they have no blocks to get out. That's when suddenly their netherite sword easily breaks the cobblestone, which I didn't even know was a thing. They leave the cave and start exploring more of the village, but that's when they find this super duper long path. So of course the speedrunner follows the path, and as they're on the path we can see this floating carrot, and it looks like whoever's holding the carrot is eating it apparently, until the carrot suddenly vanishes. Well, they ignore that and go down the path some more until they find this ruin portal. So the speedrunner goes up to the chest of the ruin portal and finds some pretty normal loot, other than the fact that there's an odd amount of obsidian here. The speedrunner takes the loot, and turns out that this obsidian was the exact amount they needed to finish the ruin portal. But I'm sure that the speedrunner just got extremely lucky. But they use the fire charge that they got from the ruin portal and light the nether portal. Once the speedrunner is in the nether, they find this extremely long red vine. So of course the speedrunner goes up the vine, and then even use their horn as they're climbing it. Once they get to the top, there's really nothing here. That's when tons of eyes of ender start falling from the sky, which I'm pretty sure I heard about was in the newest update. So believe it or not, this part is actually legit. The speedrunner then picks up all of the eyes of ender until they have 27 eyes of ender, which I'm pretty sure is more than enough eyes of ender. They then start heading down the vine and go back through the nether portal. Once they're back in the overworld, they throw their eyes of ender to see where the stronghold is. Wait, why are they going the opposite direction? But the speedrunner just starts swimming in the water for some reason, and then they suddenly fall into a hole which has an end portal. Not only that, there are tons of signs with the most random things on the sign. Now, I'm not gonna read them all, but you can pause it and look at it, because these signs are just crazy. They place in the eyes of ender and enter the end. Once they're in the end, they find this weird hay bale parkour, which I'm gonna be honest, looks pretty easy. But the speedrunner goes for the first jump and fails it. Wait, never mind, they made it. I think I just saw the footage wrong or something. They then do the rest of the parkour pretty darn easily until they get to the main island. Now, before we get into this dragon fight, I'm gonna be honest, this is the weirdest fight I've ever seen. Because, spoiler alert, the speedrunner doesn't hit the dragon a single time, but they somehow win the speedrun by killing the ender dragon. Well, they start by just standing still and swinging at tons of end crystals, which for some odd reason just break. And they do this to literally every single end crystal in the entire end. Now, once all of the end crystals are broken, they do the same thing to the ender dragon. But the thing is, we can see a sword literally chasing the ender dragon down, hitting it over and over again. And even at one point, their potion effect wears off, and we can see this guy inside of creative just flying around smacking the ender dragon. They make themselves go back to being invisible, and the speedrunner just keeps sitting there swinging as if they're actually hitting the ender dragon when they're clearly not. And eventually, the ender dragon just dies, and the speedrunner wins the speedrun. The speedrun starts inside of a savanna biome, and surprisingly, things are pretty normal. They look around to see if they have a good spawn, and they don't really see anything, so they begin by mining a tree. They mine a few logs and turn those logs into planks. They then then make themselves a crafting table and sticks, and use a crafting table to make themselves a wooden pickaxe. They break their crafting table to take it with them, and that's when they find a ruined portal. But for some reason, the speedrunner turns around to start beating up this weird ball thingy, and then they actually decide to go to the ruined portal. The speedrunner opens the chest and finds some pretty normal loot, other than the fact that there's a piece of iron inside here. And ruined portals never have iron, so this is actually pretty confusing. But they take the loot from the chest and use the flint and the iron to make themselves a flint and steel. They then place the 4 obsidian to block off the lava, and then they light the portal. Once they're in the nether, they look around and they realize that they got a terrible nether spawn. But then if I pause it right here, do you see anything suspicious? Cause I do. Alright, if you don't see it, it's actually this red thing that is just randomly placed all by itself. So the speedrunner goes right up to it, breaks it, and breaks the block beneath it to find a chest, which has tons of blaze rods and ender pearls. The speedrunner takes all of the loot and uses the blaze rods to turn into blaze powder and make themselves some eyes of ender. They then go back through the portal and start going in a random direction. That's where they find this stone wall that they randomly start mining for no reason. As they begin digging straight down, they find a hole which has a stronghold. Not only this, there's also a sign that says stronghold, just in case, you know, we couldn't tell it was a stronghold. Yeah. The speedrunner places in all of the eyes of ender and enters the end. Once they're in the end, they realize that they're stuck in a box, so they use their wooden pickaxe to break out and use their extra ender pearl to throw it, and once it lands, the speedrunner starts heading towards the ender dragon. But that's when they come up with this absolutely 200 IQ play. They place their end stone in a weird shape that honestly makes me a little bit hungry. Wait, what? When they go up to their thing that they made, and a very clear cut happens, and the ender dragon is now dead somehow, which of course isn't suspicious at all. Well, now that the ender dragon is dead, the speedrunner wins the speedrun, I guess. This first speedrun starts right next to a desert village. So the speedrunner starts heading towards the village and begins breaking wheat for some bread. Once they get 8 hay bales, they enter a house which for some reason has a turtle, even though I'm pretty sure turtles only spawn inside of the end. So the fact that there's a turtle right here is a little bit suspicious. Well, they punch the turtle and then leave the house. They then enter another house, but wait, if we rewind the footage and stop it here, we can see that the door was already open. But if they started a new world, a door would not already be open because villagers always open and then close the door behind them. Well, the speedrunner goes into the house and breaks the beds, which is actually a pro speedrunner strategy. They then open the chest, which actually has some normal loot. They take the bread from the chest and leave the house. They make their way towards another house, which has a door that's already opened. And once again, they take the beds and open the chest, and oh my goodness, why is there so much bread? Okay, well, they take all the bread and they now have 48 bread. I think that's enough food for a speedrun. They leave the house and wander around the village a little bit more until they enter a house which has a crafting table. They turn their hay bales into wheat, and they now have over a stack of wheat. But for some reason, they only make 1 bread. Okay then. They leave the house and use their insane parkour skills to jump across this cave. And that's when they find another house. But if I pause it here, there is something very, very strange about this house. And if you didn't immediately see it, you need to get your eyes checked, because the door is literally a spruce door. When if we look back at all the other houses, they were not spruce doors, which if you ask me is very, very strange. Well, the speedrunner enters this house and finds an iron pickaxe on the wall, which is actually legit and only has a 69% chance of spawning. They take the iron pickaxe and also take the bed and leave the house. They then jump into the cave and find a giant hole with some water. So they jump into the water and they find some gold. They mine the gold and find a nether portal? Okay. I didn't know nether portals could randomly spawn like this. But there is a problem. The speedrunner doesn't have a flint and steel. So how the heck are they possibly gonna light the nether portal? Wait, what? Did you guys just watch what I just watched? Yeah, I had to replay this like 11 times and I still have no idea how they did that. Well, now that the nether portal is lit, they enter the nether. And I'm warning you ahead of time, this nether goes crazy because they spawn in a random box. Not only that, there's also a sign that says not suspicious barrel. And right next to it is a barrel. So the speedrunner opens the barrel and finds tons of ender eyes. Oh my goodness, you don't even need that many ender eyes. Well, the speedrunner takes all of the ender eyes and leaves the nether. And now that they're back in the overworld, they realize that there is no way they're getting all the way back up because they have no blocks. So they turn around to go back into the nether. Wait, what are they doing? Oh my god, a ladder? The speedrunner climbs all the way up the ladder and breaks the sand at the top. And now they're at the surface of the cave. So they run out of the cave, and that's when I thought that they were gonna go back into the village. But instead, they run in a completely random direction. They keep running in this area for quite some time until they find this. Yup, this is definitely legit. The speedrunner places in all of their eyes of ender, and now that they're in the end, we can see that the ender dragon has literally 0 HP. I don't even know how it's alive. But the speedrunner places a super cool bed trap, and eventually the ender dragon perches. And once it gets close enough, the speedrunner blows up the bed and wins the speedrun in record time. The speedrunner starts right next to an acacia village. They just wander around for a little bit until they start breaking every single bed inside the village. They then somehow one-hit the iron golem, which I didn't even know was possible until I realized that it was literally Shrek. So this part actually does make sense. They mine a tree and make themselves a crafting table to make themselves a bucket. They fill their bucket up with water and throw it at a lava pool, and now they have a nether portal? Once I saw this part, I knew the speedrun was fake. Oh wait, I just realized this is the wrong footage. Oh my god, guys, why didn't you tell me? If you guys could just do me a huge favor and just simply subscribe, that would genuinely make my entire day. This next speedrun starts right next to a ruined portal. So the speedrunner starts off by running towards the portal, and once they get there, they open the chest, and the chest has some normal loot, like obsidian, golden carrots, and several golden tools. You know, the normal loot. They take all of this loot, but wait, if we pause it right here, we can see that the sun in the background is setting, which only happens if the world has been up for at least 10 minutes. But we're literally only 20 seconds into the speedrun, which proves that the speedrun is going to be fake. Well, they start mining some netherrack for some blocks, they fill in the rest of the nether portal, and then use their blocks to get rid of the lava. They then use the fire charge to light the portal, and then they enter the nether. Once the speedrunner is inside of the nether, they go to a random corner and then suddenly start digging straight down. But their golden pickaxe breaks, so they have to mine the rest of the netherrack with their fist. And after 20 seconds of mining, they fall into a hole. And this is when they turn on their coordinates. They then begin walking around like the coordinates are actually telling them something, and then they go into a random corner and start digging straight down. And they find a chest, and inside of it is tons of blaze rods. Okay, there is no way the coordinates told them that there was a secret chest right there. The speedrunner takes all of the blaze rods, and they now have 27, which is a lot more than you would typically need for a speedrun. The speedrunner suddenly turns on their coordinates once again, and they walk around some more until they suddenly think that there's something else beneath them. So they dig straight down again and find another chest. But this time, there's ender pearls inside of the chest. Okay, let's be honest, guys. This speedrun is completely cursed, and they now have everything they need to be able to go to the end. So the speedrunner starts making their way all the way back towards their portal, and eventually they make it there. Now that they're in the overworld, they start running around back and forth for a little bit, trying to remember where to go. Eventually they figure it out and throw an ender pearl, and once it lands, they begin mining a tree. They get 6 logs and make it into a crafting table. They then use the crafting table to make themselves a boat, and they also make some doors. They place down their boat into the sea and then turn on their coordinates again, acting like they know what they're doing when, let's be honest, they have no idea what they're doing. They start sailing across the ocean for quite some time until eventually they get out of their boat. They swim down to the ocean floor and place their door. I did not mean to rhyme there, but you know, it sounded cool. They then dig straight down, and now they're right next to an end portal. So the speedrunner turns their blaze rods into blaze powder and makes themselves some eyes of ender. They then place in all of their eyes of ender and enter the end. Once they're in the end, they build up to the main island with some wood that they had, and if we pause it right here, we can see that there are 2 ender pearls just randomly laying there on the ground, which I'm gonna be honest is just simply not possible. Where the speedrunner picks up both of the ender pearls and puts them into their hotbar. But wait, by now we should be able to see the ender dragon's health, but we just simply don't see it, which makes me believe that there's just simply no ender dragon in the end. But the reason I'm saying this now and not a little bit later when it's pretty obvious that there's no ender dragon is because the speedrunner looks into the eyes of an enderman and then throws an ender pearl to try to get away from it, and by some miracle the ender pearl lands directly in the middle of the portal, causing them to see the credits. This speedrunner's aim with ender pearls must be absolutely crazy for that to somehow happen. This speedrunner starts in the middle of nowhere, which is usually not the best start for a speedrun. But the speedrunner doesn't care, and they immediately just go over to mine a tree. They take 4 logs from the tree and turn them into planks, and they use those planks to make into a crafting table. The speedrunner then places down their crafting table, makes some sticks, and then makes a sign, where they place down the sign and write, "He kinda tastes good." What the? Well, they then begin shaking their head up and down. Even though I'm not gonna lie, this speedrunner is a weirdo. They begin running away from the sign and randomly jump into this lake. They swim around for a little bit until they find this weird hole. And inside the hole is the weirdest things I have ever seen in my entire life. We got a broken portal, tons of random buttons, and striders in jail. Like, what the heck is going on? The speedrunner goes over to the striders and then starts punching all of them for literally no reason. They then begin pressing a bunch of random buttons, and then they jump into the portal. Once they're in the end, we can see this very weird path, which I don't think is naturally generated. The speedrunner goes across the path, and eventually they're on the main island. Once there, we can see that there's no Enderman. Not only that, there's no Ender Dragon, but there is a sign that says the Ender Dragon is busy celebrating Christmas. I'm pretty sure we're in July, not December, so this literally makes no sense. Well, the speedrunner ignores that and just jumps into the portal. This speedrunner starts right next to a village, but not only that, they also start in their last hotbar slot, which immediately lets us know that the speedrun is more than likely fake. But once the speedrunner turns to look at the village, they see some striders trapped inside some fences. But the thing is, striders only spawn inside of snow biomes, so a strider being right here literally makes no sense. Well, the speedrunner ignores these very strange striders and finds a villager's house, which I've honestly never seen before. And the house has 4 doors. So they enter door number 1 and find a chest filled with emeralds. So they take the emeralds and enter door 2, which also has a chest. And of course, it's filled with tons of emeralds. So they take these emeralds as well and enter door 3, which has the exact same thing. Well, I have a weird feeling that door number 4 also has tons of emeralds. And if I'm right, I think that everyone should subscribe. Well, they enter door number 4, and of course, there's tons of emeralds. So I guess that means that everyone has to subscribe. Now that they have around 2 billion emeralds, they go up to a villager at the blacksmith and buy a fire aspect sword. They then enter the blacksmith, which surprisingly has some pretty normal loot. So they take the loot and leave the blacksmith. But that's when they decide to go back towards the striders and kill them for literally no reason. They then decide to get some food, so they go to a farm and steal some potatoes. Wait, what is that? They spot a trapdoor in the water, so of course they enter it and find a nether portal. I'm pretty sure nether portals spawning beneath farms is actually in the newest update, which makes this completely legit. Well, the speedrunner enters the portal, and once they're in the nether, they look around and find some diamonds? Well, I don't think diamonds spawn in the nether. Well, either way, they mine the diamonds and find a chest behind them, which of course has a stack of ender eyes. So the speedrunner takes the ender eyes and leaves the nether. Once they're back in the overworld, they find exactly 4 tall grass. So they break all the tall grass and break the blocks below it, and they jump into the hole. Wait, what the heck is happening? How are they in the end? Well, I guess now that they're in the end, they look around the entire end, and there's just for some reason no ender dragon, which in case you didn't know makes it incredibly easy for the speedrunner to beat the game. And that's exactly what they do by going through the portal and beating the game. This speedrunner starts by fighting the Steve for literally no reason, and I'm pretty sure they win the 1v1 because the Steve apparently just runs away and drops them their head. Oh, wait a minute, this is the wrong footage. My bad. See this crying emoji? Well, that will literally be me if you do not subscribe, so you better subscribe. This speedrunner starts in a plains biome and they immediately go to a tree to get some wood. That's when we see a red mushroom on a singular block of podzol, which would not naturally spawn inside of a plains biome. Well, for now, just keep this in mind for later. The speedrunner begins to mine the tree until they eventually find a barrel, and inside the barrel is a stack of planks. And for some reason, the speedrunner uses the stack of planks to build themselves a house. They give us a quick little house tour, but if we rewind the footage back to whenever they were making the house and pause it right here, we can see some little particle effects through this dirt. And these particle effects only show up when there's a nether portal, where the speedrunner goes up to this exact same spot and breaks the dirt just to find an already lit nether portal, which is obviously cheated. When the speedrunner goes into the nether, and once in the nether, they look around for a little bit, but they find absolutely nothing until they look inside this lava and find a chest filled with blaze powder. But the speedrunner takes their blaze powder and goes back through the portal and into the overworld. Remember when we talked about that mushroom and the podzol? Well, the speedrunner goes up to that mushroom and breaks below the podzol and finds a chest filled with ender pearls. So the speedrunner takes the ender pearls and uses their blaze powder and the ender pearls to make themselves some eyes of ender. Once the speedrunner has their eyes of ender, they go up to another dirt spot and break through it just to find a weird long hallway. So they go down the hallway and then turn around and they're somehow in the struggle. I'm not not gonna lie, I am very confused. Well, the speedrunner places in the eyes of Ender and enters the end. But once they're in the end, they don't have a pickaxe to be able to get out. Oh, wait, how the heck did they get out? Alright then. Well, the speedrunner is now trying to fight the Ender Dragon, but they have no loot. So if the speedrunner finds some magical way to kill the Ender Dragon and wins the speedrun, I think everyone should subscribe, because that would be insanely impressive. Well, the speedrunner goes up to the Ender Dragon and hits it once, and the Ender Dragon is somehow dead. Well, I guess that means you have to subscribe. So the speedrunner just goes through the portal and easily wins the speedrun. This speedrunner starts right next to a snowy village. So the first thing they do is enter the village when they suddenly get stuck inside some snow, which is honestly kind of embarrassing. Once they finally get out of the snow, they see a pink sheep out in the distance, with only a 0.00001% chance of spawning. So if you ever find a pink sheep, make sure to not kill it. Wait, what are they doing? Well, the speedrunner killed the extremely rare pink sheep, and then they go up to a villager's house and open the door to find a chest. And inside the chest is some normal loot, other than the fact that there's a stack of obsidian. So the speedrunner takes the obsidian and leaves the house. But that's when the speedrunner sees a cobblestone pillar in the middle of a lake. So the speedrunner goes up to the pillar, and now they're suddenly in the nether? Well, I don't know about you, but I am very, very confused. But the speedrunner looks around the nether for a little bit until they see some wooden parkour. So the speedrunner goes up to the parkour, but instead of doing it normally, they instead open up their inventory and find some elytra with some fireworks. So they put on the elytra and just fly up to the end of the parkour. And that's where they find a chest, but they open the chest and there is no loot inside of it. Wait a minute, what? I could have sworn literally 2 seconds ago that there was no loot inside the chest, but maybe I'm just crazy or something. Well, the speedrunner takes the stack of Eyes of Ender and goes back down to the pillar to do their magical tricks again. So now that they're back in the village, they wander around for a little bit until they suddenly break a random piece of ice and drop down a hole, which leads them to the stronghold. I don't know about you, but this is a very weird looking stronghold. To me, it just looks like the speedrunner tried to recreate the stronghold but failed miserably. Well, the speedrunner places in the Eyes of Ender and enters the end. But once the speedrunner is in the end, they come up with a 200 IQ play because they just go inside a creative and break all the end crystals and kill the Ender Dragon. Like I said, a 200 IQ play. And that's how the speedrunner got the world record time for the fastest speedrun. This speedrun starts right next to a village. And right off the bat, we can tell that something is strange because there are tons of iron golems. But once the speedrunner starts going through the village, they for some reason find iron and roses on the ground, which only drops whenever iron golems are killed. And there is a lot of iron, so the speedrunner goes around the village getting all of the iron, but that's when the speedrunner sees some weird colored wood at the tip of this house. So the speedrunner enters the house and finds a chest, which has a stack of obsidian and a flint and steel. So the speedrunner takes the loot and goes outside the building to build themselves a nether portal. Once the speedrunner is in the nether, they find a very obvious path. So we go across the path until they find an ender chest. They open the ender chest and find tons of Eyes of Ender. So they take the Eyes of Ender and go back through the portal. Once they're back in the overworld, they take a piece of wood and make it into a crafting table. And that's when they use their iron to make themselves a full set of iron armor. The speedrunner then wanders around the village for a little bit until they spot this very odd looking tree. So they go up to the tree and start mining it, and that's when they find a secret ladder. So they climb up the ladder and find an end portal? I didn't know end portals spawn on top of trees, but maybe I just missed an update. But the speedrunner places in their Eyes of Ender and enters the end. Once in the end, they instantly find tons of diamond blocks. So they follow the path of diamond blocks, but that's when they realize that there was simply no ender dragon. So they just simply go through the portal. If you thought that was a pretty cool video, then you should probably click this video as well because it's also pretty cool. This speedrunner loads into the world and we can see they spawn in a savanna biome. But if you look right here, we can see what appears to be a farm, which means the speedrunner probably spawned right next to a village. But the speedrunner starts by going towards the village and they take 4 hay bales. They then begin mining a tree where they take 2 logs and turn the 2 logs into planks, which they use for sticks and a crafting table. And now at this part, I want you to listen to what the speedrunner is saying.
I can't believe we got this lucky with a village! Yes!
But that's not what I want you to focus on. Instead, if we look in the top right, we can see a floating thing of water, which could be a world generation glitch, but I'm honestly not too sure. Well, the speedrunner goes up to a villager's house and says this.
Let's see this house. What do we got? Oh, a chest? Yes!
Did you see what I saw? Well, if you didn't hear, I'll tell you. Soon as they walked into the village, we can see a pressure plate on the ground. And soon as they stepped on the pressure plate, they gained a diamond. Now what happens next makes this speedrun insanely obvious that it's fake.
Acacia sapling, gold nugget, and short grass? Yes! Oh my god. I'm so happy I can literally celebrate. Let's go. I got so much good stuff. Oh my goodness, yes!
The speedrunner acted like they were celebrating and dancing, when in reality, they were just walking on and off the pressure plate so they could get some more diamonds. Where the speedrunner places down their crafting table and makes himself a diamond pickaxe and also a diamond sword. Now at this point, I thought the speedrunner could not get weirder than this, but I was wrong because this happens.
Alright, hopefully we can find some more super... Oh my goodness! No way! We found watermelons! I've been looking for watermelons for so long! Finally, yes! It's like a dream come true!
Yeah, the speedrunner couldn't believe they found watermelons when right in front of them was a full set of iron armor. Because watermelons are way more important than iron armor, let's be honest. The speedrunner even says they can't believe they got lucky enough to find watermelons.
I cannot believe I got that lucky to find watermelons!
Okay, let's just ignore the speedrunner for now. Well, the speedrunner goes inside of a house and finds a chest. And inside the chest is tons of obsidian and an iron ingot. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this stuff being inside the chest is completely fake. And the speedrunner's reaction honestly gives it away.
A chest, let's go! Oh my goodness, obsidian and iron! Oh my goodness, I feel so lucky today. Today is my lucky day!
Yeah, today is your lucky day, I'm sure. Well, the speedrunner leaves the house, but the speedrunner realizes that they're missing something, and they say this.
Oh my goodness, I have enough to make a portal now. Now all I need is a flint and steel, and all I have is an iron, but where the heck am I gonna get flint? Oh my goodness, gravel, no way!
Yeah, they found a pile of gravel that definitely doesn't look suspicious at all. Where the speedrunner starts mining all of the gravel, and eventually they mine it all. But for some reason, the speedrunner doesn't get a flint. Or at least that's what I thought, until this happened.
Was there actually no flint? Oh my goodness, there was! I cannot believe I didn't see it somehow.
How could there have possibly been flint here? Because we just watched the speedrunner break all of the gravel and they got no flint. Which makes this very, very confusing. Not only that, but there's also a mushroom cow on the right side of the screen here, which the speedrunner for some reason doesn't even look at. And this is also very confusing because everybody knows that mushroom cows can only spawn inside of jungles. So I'm genuinely very confused why there is a mushroom cow here. When after the speedrunner has the flint, they make themselves a flint and steel and begin constructing the nether portal. They finish the nether portal and light the portal and enter the nether. But wait, before they get into the nether, I'm gonna warn you ahead of time that this part of the speedrun is absolutely crazy. Because once the speedrunner is inside the nether, they first look around to see if they got a good spawn.
Alright, hopefully I got a good spawn. Ooh, this is not a good spawn. Oh no, I don't see a fortress or anything.
They said they got a bad spawn, and that's what I thought too, until this happened.
Oh my goodness gracious. Why is there a cat? Okay, let's ignore that. Oh my god, what the heck is this? Trade here? Oh my goodness, there's so many llamas!
Why is there a sign that says trade here with tons of llamas? More importantly, why was there a lever here and also a dispenser here? I have so many questions. Well, for some reason, the speedrunner thinks they can trade with llamas, so they drop their gold nugget and say they'll be back later.
And I'll be back in a little bit to see if I got any eyes of Ender. Alright, you guys have fun. Bye-bye.
The speedrunner comes back to the llamas, but wait, I noticed something very, very suspicious here. So earlier, whenever they walked past the lever was flicked up. And now that they came back, the lever is flicked down. And I'm pretty sure this lever is connected to the dispenser that we saw earlier. So I think the speedrunner flicked the lever, which must have dropped something in the pile of llamas. And I'm pretty sure I'm right, because this happens.
Alright guys, I'm back. Hopefully I got some good stuff. Alright, let's see these. Oh my goodness, 5 eyes of Ender. You guys are so nice. Oh my goodness, I love you llamas.
Yeah, the speedrunner said they loved the llamas, but ended up killing every single llama. This speedrunner is absolutely crazy, I'm not gonna lie. They even tried acting like they didn't know where the llamas went to.
Where did all the llamas go? Not too sure. Well, I guess they had to go bye-bye or something. Well, I'm going back to the village. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm sure the llamas had to go bye-bye. You definitely didn't kill them. The speedrunner is now back in the village, and then something absolutely crazy happens.
Alright, we made it back to the village. Let me eat some watermelon. Oh, that's some good watermelon. Wait, what the heck? What the heck is that up there?
You know what? I'm done. What the heck just happened? The speedrunner looked right at the mushroom cow, but for some reason said nothing about it, which is genuinely just confusing. If I saw a mushroom cow in my world, I would definitely say something about it. Where the speedrunner goes up to the stone brick that they saw in the mountain, and they mine through it just to find a stronghold. But they forgot the name of what the stronghold is called.
Let me see what this is. Oh my goodness! It is the secret. I forgot what you call it.
This is just embarrassing. I don't know what's happening. Well, the speedrunner goes up to the portal and they realize that they need 5 Eyes of Ender to finish the portal, which coincidentally, they have 5 Eyes of Ender in their inventory. They even say this to try to make it seem like they're just lucky when we know that they're clearly not.
Oh my goodness. Oh, what the heck? I need 5 Eyes of Ender and I have 5? Oh my goodness, that has got to be the most luckiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You know what, sheep? You can go in the portal first. Let me know how it is.
I can't believe the speedrunner just sent a sheep into the end. Like, this speedrunner's gotta be crazy or something. Well, the speedrunner waits a little bit before they go into the end because they had the sheep test and make sure if it was safe or not. But of course, the sheep doesn't respond.
Oh, I think the sheep is not coming back.
Yeah, obviously the sheep is not coming back, let's be honest. Well, the speedrunner jumps into the portal and they find the sheep.
Oh, hello, sheep. You survived. Oh my goodness. Thank goodness you survived. You're my only friend.
The speedrunner just said that the sheep was their only friend. So what do you think happens next? A, the speedrunner and the sheep have an epic battle where they defeat the ender dragon. B, the speedrunner makes sure the sheep is safe while they defeat the ender dragon. Or C, they kill the sheep. Come on, you gotta pick one, A, B, or C. Come on, hurry up, pick. All right, if you picked A, you are incorrect because it's C. Because of course it is. But the speedrunner turns around and finds a ladder. They climb the ladder and they start making their way towards the ender dragon. And the speedrunner says something that is very confusing.
And you know, it's a good thing I gathered beds earlier so I could kill the ender dragon with my beds.
If we rewind the footage and look at any point during this speedrun, we can see that the speedrunner not once picked up a bed. So where they got the beds from is genuinely very confusing. But they wait until the dragon perches, and once it does, they place down a bed which actually blows them up and gets them extremely low. But they're not done, because they end up just blowing themselves up and their reaction is priceless.
Oh, what the heck? Wait, let me. What the heck? That's it. I'm done. Huh, you're mean.
They just called the ender dragon mean and then they rage quit. That is gonna be the most embarrassing speedrun I think I've ever watched. If you like that video, you should watch this video too, because I can guarantee you're gonna like it just as much.